So a lot of you folks don't find my channel very interesting. I mean, who wants to learn about trees anyway? Boring. My channel is very unique, and a lot of people are not interested in the content. I do vary my content considerably. I break it up from time to time. I'll show a removal or I'll show a pruning job. Sometimes I'll show a specific problem with a tree. Sometimes it's about mushrooms. But I don't like to forget about the wood. And sometimes I'll do a milling video or a woodworking video. But today, what I want to talk about is the tree rings, dendrochronology. And because I live in California, we are suffering from a very, very bad drought. It's going on almost 20 years, and the entire western United States is in trouble. You know, maybe not up in, northern Oregon and Washington, but, the sort of the southwestern United States, much of California is in serious, serious drought problems. But if you look at the tree rings, they will give you the answers that may make you feel a little bit better. I want to show you a cross-section of a limb that I cut down. I know when this limb was removed from the tree, so I can date it. The limb actually died a couple of years ago. So at that point, the growth ring stopped. But I can use that information to date it as well. And if you go back in time, you can clearly see what the weather patterns have been like. You can see the dry years, you can see the wet years. Let me show you. In order to more accurately determine the wet years and the dry years, or the rain patterns, first off, you have to have a tree that is not growing in an irrigated area. It has to be a tree that has adjusted its growth rings according to the natural rainfall only. And this particular piece of wood, I counted 110 years on just this branch. And if we go all the way out to the very edge, and let's go a little bit further, there we go. I counted about 18 years all the way up to where it started getting wet. And then we went about 10 very wet years and it dried out again. Then we had a whole bunch of wet years. Most people don't take the time to look very clearly, and seeing the details in the tree rings can tell you the wet years very clearly, as well as all the dry years. But what I want to express in this video is that the changes are consistent throughout time. And if you're looking at a really old tree, you can see that there's like a decade of drought, there's a decade of wet years, a decade of drought, decade of wet years. Maybe there's 20 years of drought, and then, a lot of wet years will come up. So it comes back and forth. So, a lot of people panic and say, this drought will never end, but it does.